It's a cold studio, but it's a hot show. And hot mics. Live from New York, it's the show that is in a very festive mood with two festive outfits and one business casual.
I didn't even pick it. I apologize. I need some red, some green. I'm in
Bruce
the
said it's all
Christmas spirit,
business. He
You
said,
did
you
wear
know what?
sneakers, though.
Yeah.
Your sneakers are red.
And they are red.
Officially, take Rams off of their tomato can status. They were certifiable tomato cans.
Yeah.
You can uncertify them.
Well, look, I know that the LA Rams are all the rage on First Things First because Nick Wright is so glad that now his Dallas Cowboys have beaten two teams with winning records.
I mean,
so congrats, Nick. Your Cowboys are now 2-3 against teams with the
Can we
pulse.
talk about the Rams?
All right, congratulations.
Okay.
I know that's what that's what this whole segment's about.
I need
We
to
had a whole
schedule
thing
Thursday night
planned, and Nick
football.
was like, hold up.
I think the Rams are good.
The Rams aren't tomato cans. Bruce got an answer for
No,
it. all right? Here's the thing.
Not what I'm trying to do.
The Rams have won five of 6?
5 of 6.
Okay.
They're hot.
Guess how many of those teams had winning records?
Oh, Brew.
Hold on. One. And that one started a 38-year-old quarterback who a week or two earlier was watching the games from his counts just
Brew, you
like
can't
us.
do that.
Joe Flacco.
But why are the Browns
I'm just
good?
saying.
Why are the Browns good?
Their defense.
And they scored 36 on them. That hasn't nothing to do with
All
Flacco.
I'm saying is, I bring context. You just want to say they won 5 of 6.
No.
See how excited he got when they won 5 of 6?
Well, it matters.
Well, it also matters who they've beaten.
Okay, they took Baltimore to overtime. They
was
beat
good.
Cleveland. Can we show what
Baltimore
the Rams
overtime was real.
So
have looked
moral
like?
victories.
No,
that's what Sean
Drew,
McVay and,
no. I
and
don't
the
wanna show their
ex-Super Bowl
schedule.
champion
No,
Rams
can we
are
show what
settling
their
for.
last 6
good.
are? At what they have looked like over their last 6 and what they've done
Commanders.
since Stafford came back from the injury. They're 5-1. The one loss is in overtime against one of the best teams in the league. They offensively, they are a top 5 team, and I absolutely
in
care.
the last.
Yeah, that's what I'm
5
saying.
games.
Of course. Yes, they were
Getting
3
hot.
they were 3-6. They were dead in the water. Stafford was hurt. They got a bye. Stafford got healthy. And now I look at them, Wildes, and I say a team that we had real questions about were they going to be able to run the ball, which is the basis of what Sean McVay does. They have a 1,000-yard rusher in Kieran Williams who's excellent. We had a question about do they have enough depth because they were the bleep them picks philosophy. Well, they nailed mid-round picks the last couple of years. They have an excellent coach. I believe they have right now this moment the second best quarterback in the conference, second only to Dak. Right now this moment.
Sure.
How Matt Stafford is playing, absolutely. And I'm here to tell you that if I were right now ranking NFC playoff contenders, the Rams to me would be third. It would go San Francisco, Dallas, Los Angeles.
Okay.
You don't right now.
I was actually going to be nice to the Rams.
I know, but you should still.
I was going because
better than the Eagles, but
he asked me, are
right
they
now,
not?
if the
Yeah,
Rams
they're
and Eagles
not
played,
better
you
than
would pick the Eagles because I would not. And
they're only 10-4. They're only 4-2 against teams with winning records.
Okay.
Oh, what are the Rams? 2-5.
Okay,
I mean, that matters, Nick.
Okay,
it matters who you play.
I understand. It does matter who you play. It also matters how
Who
you're
you
playing.
beat.
How you're playing matters.
But who you beat, too.
I get that. And so, but can we show Philly versus the Rams
better
for the
than
season?
Philly?
For the season. I'm just curious.
Okay.
So the offenses are equivalent, and by the way, that includes a game where the Rams scored 3 points when Stafford didn't play. We didn't take that out. That's their whole season. The Rams defense, Brew, honest question. Who do you think has a better defense, the Rams or Philly? Honest question.
The Rams may have a better defense.
And you're confident that Philly's offense is better than the Rams right now? Because I'm not.
Yeah, Philly is better. All right, now look, I don't even feel like doing this now.
What?
He was going to be nice, but
because
what
do you mean?
determining who's a tomato can is a science. It's not an art.
I believe that.
And one of the laws of it is that you can't be a tomato can with a winning record. So I was here to really, give the Rams a little love. Congratulations, LA Rams. I hope I can get this thing off. Congratulations, Rams.
We might reveal that's not actually tomatoes
y'all
in there.
put this on here.
Okay.
Congratulations, LA Rams. You are the first team to respond positively and correctly and properly to Broussard's tough love.
Yeah.
A lot of people crumble under my tough love. You responded well. Yeah. You are no longer a tomato can.
Big moment.
I just want to. I was just bringing up the context to bring sanity to the discussion.
You went too far.
And here you are. They're better than the Eagles.
Yeah.
Wait.
I mean,
okay. Just before we move on,
their best game the last month and a half is a loss.
And the Phillies, all their games the last month are losses. Their best, their worst, all of them. They're all losses. The Rams are not firing coordinators. The Rams are not having columns written about them being in disarray. The Rams are not right now having their quarterback question guy's commitment. The Rams right now are not letting Drew Lock drive the field for winning touchdowns.
Where are the Rams
played really?
I'm telling you right now, if the Rams in the first round play Detroit, I like their chances. And if the Rams in the first round play Philly, I like their chances. Do I think they're going to the Super Bowl? No. But I think that they have a great coach.
Yep.
They have a healthy quarterback who's playing excellent. Wildes, you're a believer that it's a wide receivers league these days.
Two superstars.
Puka Nacua and Cooper Kupp. They have a running game
better
now.
wide receivers.
And one of them's out here arguing with people on Twitter.
He always does.
Okay.
That's no problem.
I think the Rams are
they
good.
They thrive in chaos.
I think the Rams are good.
I think
they're fine.
More likely, an A or an F game.
I said yesterday I was leaning Dallas.
Uh-oh.
But the more I dug into the tape, the more I dug into the statistics.
How many hours of tape did you watch, just to the audience?
I did the couple 7 to 10 Eastern. About an hour or two after that, hour and a half, something like that. Then I started looking at it, Nick. And I like Dallas. I still like them as a team. I'm not going to disrespect them like he just did the Eagles. But the more I dug in, the more I found myself leaning Miami.
Wow. Break dancers over punchers.
Because a few things. One, we know that Dallas is not good on the road.
True.
Okay. Now, Dallas's main problem is they can't handle prosperity. And they're not prosperous right now. So you would expect a bounce back game, like we've said. It's been 2 years, more than 2 years since they lost back-to-back games. So that's good for them. But the game is on the road. Miami has something to prove as well. Mm-hmm. They need this game just like the Cowboys do. And what really convinced me is what is the Cowboys' weakness on defense? They can be run on. And Miami is for all Tyreek and Waddle, Tua, they're a great running team.
Yeah.
And I think they're going to be able to run the ball at Dallas, and then that can open up the pass, or maybe vice versa. But I do think Dallas is a small, fast defense, but Miami's faster than them. And I think that's going to spell trouble for the Cowboys. So I don't expect an F game. I think it's C or D. But I'd say an F game is far more likely than an A game from the Cowboys.
Before I give my answer, the legitimate question here, not one of those questions where I'm setting you up to fail, as I so often do.
He tried it last
when
year,
you say Dallas can be run on, do you draw any distinction between a team that is going to try to power run on you like Buffalo did and Miami, which is a good running team, but it is, if such a thing exists, I think you understand what I'm saying. They're a finesse running team. They're going to do stretch zone, it's speed, things like that. Don't you think Dallas is more set up to deal with that style of a running team than the other?
Because they're not big. So a bigger team obviously has a good advantage over them. But I do think Miami still will have success running against them because they're faster than the Cowboys.
They're faster than everybody.
Yeah, exactly.
All right, so I think it's an A game.
A?
Well, the question is more likely A or F.
But
you asked the question, and you asked the question, and now you're puzzled by really selling it. Wow. And so, okay, listen, Dallas, you're such a goofball. Shut up, Dusty. Dusty's out here just giving you a live track. All right, listen, Dallas after a loss, they don't lose. We can show it to you. Not only do they not lose, Brew, they're dominant. This is dating back to the end of the season before last. Just over the last 2 years, it would be 7-0 after a loss. And that point per game differential is wild. It's not just that they come back from losses; they beat you by 3+ scores. Also,
do they have several tomato cans lined up?
I don't. He's
okay,
lucky I
well,
don't have a schedule.
luckily I know this.
Probably.
You know who they played right after San Francisco? They played the Los Angeles Rams. Certifiable, not tomato can. And they won 43 to 20. And so, okay.
At that point, they were. They were swimming in tomato juice.
Okay. All right, enough. I mean, I'm trying to make real points.
I got a real
here.
point. And Nick's acting like there's no context.
No.
There aren't ups and downs in the season. And you can be a tomato can for a month.
I know,
and then come
Hold
out.
on, can I ask a question real quick on that?
Go.
Does the opposite work?
Yeah.
Okay, so Philly's tomato can. Because they didn't used to be, but now they are.
It's a science. Oh, it's a science.
Oh, okay.
They're 10-4.
Oh, okay.
The science says you cannot be a tomato can at 10-4.
Oh, okay.
If you're over
Got
500,
it.
you're not being
That's
a tomato
fine.
can.
But let me get back
Way
to the
over
point I was
500.
actually trying to
Unless
make.
there's an injury.
Also, I think you
Jalen
guys
got
agree that that over the course of the NFL season, that there are certain spots where, depending on how important your following games are, you can be in a weaker position. For
Like if you look ahead?
Miami, their two biggest games of the season are the two that follow Dallas.
Yeah, but they're locked in.
Okay,
Like McDaniel's swearing at the media.
I understand that, but I don't think, Brew, you believe that Miami's going to go undefeated in this stretch. And Miami, I'm not saying you pick and choose your losses, but Miami has to win at least one of the next two after Dallas. They probably, if they want to have any chance at the 1 seed, they need both of them. Right?
But how do you think that plays out? Because there is no way that those players are. I get what you're saying.
Yep.
You'd rather lose a non-conference game than a conference
And Baltimore's
game.
for the 1 seed potentially.
But they're not. There's no way they're thinking. I'd be shocked if the players are thinking.
I don't think the players are actively thinking it, but I do think there are look-ahead spots. And I also think that Dallas, I'm a big believer in the excellent team coming off a loss. Dallas is an excellent team. They're coming off a loss, and they have shown us under McCarthy, and they have earned this respect. They're not a team that plays poorly in back-to-back weeks. We had a similar discussion. Now, granted, it was against a terrible team when after they lost to Arizona, and we were trying to peddle whether or not it was a trap game or a risk against New England, and they beat them by 35
It
points.
was New England.
No, I get that, but then
at home.
But then after the Rams game, they responded. After the Niners game, after the Eagles lost, they responded. They've responded each and every time. Whomever was on the schedule.
Dusty, see if you can quickly find out.
A lot of TCs.
Okay, go ahead.
A lot of
Giants. They responded against the Giants.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's who it was. But go ahead.
I know, but Miami 0-3 against teams above 500, so that's like the knock
They
on them.
both have something to prove.
But can I sell you on this? Because everyone's using that against Miami. Yeah. They lost to the Bills 48-20, which was actually probably, maybe I could argue, a better performance than the Cowboys in a similar situation. Went up to Buffalo and got smacked.
They both.
You lost
both
to
in Buffalo.
You lost to the Eagles. Dallas also lost to the Eagles, and you lost to the Chiefs by a touchdown. The Chiefs are great. So
and held the Chiefs to 2 scores offensively, only 14 points.
Yeah, so I don't know. I just don't necessarily buy this they're bad against.
You know what I buy?
They're 0-3. Like, well, the Cowboys lost those same games and 14 points against the Chiefs.
Those are not bad losses. But what I would buy is this: that you guys are, for the first time in weeks, all of a sudden effusive and very nuanced in your potential criticism of the Dolphins, and it just happens to be while making a case that they can beat the Cowboys. I have heard on that side of the table the Dolphins are breakdancers. The Dolphins are not real contenders. I heard you tell me yesterday the Cowboys were in the Super Bowl contention bubble, as Coward would say. Miami was outside of it. That Miami can't beat good teams. And now all of a sudden, on the eve of the game, it's like, well, actually, Dallas is the team with the bigger problems.
No, both of them have issues. One of them is going to come out of this game, barring a tie, having proven something. And that's good. And I think it's going to be Miami, but
we'll see.
You
too.
can break dance and still win games. That's a
great point. My MVP odds currently Purdy, Lamar, Josh, and then Dak. So Dak's in 4th, but here are his ranks. He's 2nd in points. He's 4th in completion percentage. He's 6th in yards, 3rd in rating, 2nd in passing touchdowns. Do we think Dak can get back in the mix with an impressive win?
Yeah, I resent the question that's on the bar. Can Dak sneak into the MVP race? Like, to me, that's almost right. That should be assigned for like Allen or Mahomes. guys who have not.
It's shocking that Allen was third.
He made a jump.
Wait, Allen's ahead of.
Yeah, that
Dak
was.
in the MVP
I'm with you on that.
Okay,
That's
well,
shocking.
that's
I know, it's
ludicrous
almost
on
a
its
whole
face,
that's
but
why
that's
I
a
don't know
different
how.
topic.
It's almost
But
like a whole
when I think of sneaking into the MVP race, that means a guy who has not been discussed as an MVP through the breadth and width of the season, that all of a sudden at the end of the year, it's like, oh my God, he might be the MVP.
Okay.
Dak was the favorite a week ago.
Yeah, and then he laid an egg in Buffalo.
Yeah, yes, he did. But that to me does not, one bad game, couple bad games, does not disqualify you from being in the MVP conversation. I would argue that if Dak is excellent this weekend and they win, he has to be no worse than second. No worse, because Lamar and Purdy going to play each other, and you guys are the quarterback wins maestros over there. One of them's going to lose. And so that Dak has to be right there. And I would also argue this. The biggest knock on Dak is the tomato can bit. How has Dak done against playoff teams? Because this is a playoff team, so let's say Dak against playoff teams this year. Oh, wait, that's excellent.
Are we counting Buffalo? Are Buffalo's on the outside looking in? Or
is Buffalo a playoff team? I don't know. I'm just a facts guy. I'm not a feelings guy.
Most of that.
Hold on, that's not. Well, then include Seattle
one
too.
touchdown.
Then by that metric, if we're going to include teams that might be in, then let's throw in a bad Buffalo game and a good Seattle game. Or we could just say playoff teams mean the crazy thing, playoff teams, and that's the numbers. And so my point is, if he then is awesome against the Dolphins, then it's really just one bad game against a good team. One bad game, the Niners game, right? Because
look, I'm with you in that he can get back in the race, and I agree on your sneak because he was leading it just a week ago. Okay, so I'll give you that.
A week ago.
But the good thing for Dak is he can answer two of the major questions about him with one fell swoop. He can kill two birds with one stone. If he wins this game, he shows that he can play well and win on the road, and you can beat a good team.
Solid.
All right, and so I think that would be huge for him. The problem with Dak now, and I think you would agree with this, he no longer controls his MVP destiny. So he could play well and win.
If Lamar or Purdy are great the rest of the way, they win.
And so that's the problem. If Purdy wins, if they beat Lamar on Christmas night, and Purdy has 3 touchdowns, 280 yards, or whatever, because he's been great against great teams. These are his numbers against 10-win teams this year. 8 touchdowns, no interceptions, 146 passer rating. Dak hasn't come close to matching that. And so that's the issue he faces. Lamar's numbers, that's the challenge Lamar's going to have, and that's where Dak could try to catch Lamar. If Lamar wins, but maybe only has 1 touchdown throwing the ball, maybe one rush touchdown.
Lamar's numbers are not going to look MVP.
Then Dak, so Dak might have a chance.
Dak is not number one in anything. Yeah. Just we ran that full screen. Like, you got to be number one in something. Like, jump up on completion percentage. You can't have a bunch of 4s, 2nds, 3rds, 5ths.
Yeah, but I mean,
it doesn't work. I'll show you Tua's numbers in a second.
Okay, go ahead.
On the other side of the ball, Tua has slipped in the conversation. Currently outside of the top 5. Here's his case. Now just look at this graphic. I know we're not doing it head-to-head. First in team points, first in completion percentage, second in passer rating and yards per pass, 25 passing touchdowns, good for 5th, second in yards per pass. He fell way far back.
And
you look
it's
at the numbers,
insane.
it's like, why?
So I'll tell you why. I mean, I can tell you why.
Tyreek factor?
Yes.
Not fair.
Here's what I don't understand, bro. I don't understand. Does not make sense to me that there is such a loud contingent for Brock and almost non-existent for Tua.
That's fair.
To me, there should be like, almost MVP, like I'll use the word contingent again, where there are some similarities in what they value. So I would think that like a lot of the Allen MVP folks, they would also say, and if it's not Allen, it's Mahomes. Because their argument is don't care about what the team record is, don't care about the turnovers. Without that guy, their team would have fallen apart, right? Logically, those
and
follow.
Lamar. You throw Lamar in
Lamar as well.
Yeah.
The Tyreek fans would also say, and Tyreek's one, Christian McCaffrey's two. You know what? Like that it would be. The Brock Purdy, Tua, numbers, success, arguments for and against are damn near identical.
Yeah.
And I'll show you the numbers for the year because Tua's got him in completion percentage and yards. Brock has him in yards per pass and touchdown interception ratio, which then of course leads to the passer rating. Team points per game is that. And what Tua has going for him is while he is not, what Brock is going for him is what Bruce said a moment ago, the success against good teams. What Tua is going for him is there's not a single loss on the Dolphins schedule you look at and say they lost that game because Tua was terrible. You can make that argument with all three of the Niners losses. You can make the argument.
Yeah.
And so I just don't understand why Tua is 20-1 and Brock is minus 200. Those should be closer.
I hear what you're saying on a surface level. But when you dig deeper, you see, first of all, Tyreek is better than any 49ers skill player. And he's historically better. Like, Tyreek we're talking about him as a top 5 player ever at his position. Christian McCaffrey ain't that. We don't even know if Christian McCaffrey's a Hall of Famer.
Right, but this
Debo or Ayuk are not. I'm talking about historically.
Yeah, historically.
You actually going to tell me Christian McCaffrey is in a discussion as a top 5 running back ever?
But
he's had like 2 great years.
Of course, but this year, Brew, Christian McCaffrey right now is the favorite for Offensive Player of the Year over Tyreek.
Right, but Tyreek is a top 5 receiver, arguably.
Agreed.
Ever.
Sure.
McCaffrey's not.
Agreed.
Okay?
I agree with that.
And Ayuk, Debo, they're not either. Okay? Now, we don't know how many of those guys, if any, are Hall of Famers. All right? And so that's a big part of it. Secondly, is that, we can't belittle this. Purdy's best games have come against the best teams. Jacksonville, Philadelphia, Dallas. But that's not true for Tua.
Lost as a direct result of his bad games. And
well, one of those games he had a concussion. People take these things into context. One game he did set his team up to win. The rookie field goal kicker missed a 40-yarder. Second game he got a concussion. And third, and I'm not trying to, everybody's had bad games.
That game that you say he set the team up to win, he was awful.
Right, but the game after that, he was great. Until he got the concussion and threw the 2 interceptions.
Okay.
One of those games he had almost 400 yards passing.
Okay. Do you agree that it shouldn't be this type of gulf between Tua and Purdy? That if you love one, you got to at least like the other. And if you think one is totally out of it, you shouldn't have the other as your favorite?
No, because I think...
Really?
No.
Thanks for watching. Subscribe here to get more from the show and to check out clips from other shows on FS1.